any of these answers down. All right, what we're looking for you to do, bless you.
Thank you.
What we're looking for you to do is to get an idea if you're right or wrong so you know what to study. I am recording what we're going over now, so this will be up on the website a little bit later. It'll also be on the YouTube channel a little bit later today, and you can always go through how to do these questions a little later. I wrote down notes for it. Jane, can you kill the lights, please? Thank you. Now, so you're just checking over your work if it's right or it's wrong. I don't want to see people writing as if they're copying off the board. In a little while, I will check it as it's a homework assignment. And you'll bring it up to me. Now, the next thing that is important to realize is that on Wednesday, if you hand in the entire Relearn packet done, that includes copying the work down from the videos, that's part one or section one of all of them. And today's work, which is section 2, and tomorrow's, which is section 3, and Wednesday's, which is section 4. If you have all of those sections done, and you hand it in, then your previous test, the grade gets dropped, and this gets put in place of it.
So you
Okay.
get 100 as a test?
If you, this is its own standalone test. So let's say you get 100 on this, 100 stays for this test. And let's say you did your Relearn packet. Then I go back to your previous test and I drop that grade and I put the 100 in place of it as well. Only if you have all of your work done and all of your sections done. If there is work missing, I don't do that for you because it's as if you didn't do your Relearn packet. Okay? Now, let's take a look at these answers. Number 1 is 3. Again, it says solve for x only, so I only need to solve for x. And when I give you the one on the test, the y's are going to match up, or the x's will match up for the y's, whichever. And that just adding them up gives me 4x is 12 divided by 4x is 3. Number 2, remember to multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. It's 15m to the third n to the 7th. And number 3, divide the coefficients and subtract the exponents. 4h to the 8th. Next up here, 4n plus 8 is 28, subtracting 8s, dividing by 4, n is equal to 5. This is the same side situation. Finding the solution to the system, it's just the coordinates of the points where the graphs meet, 2, 4. Okay, number 6, multiply coefficients, add exponents. The one hitch here is that you get the number 35, and the number is supposed to be between 1 and 10. Michael, face forward. Divide by 10, multiply by 10, and I get 3.5 times 10 to the 14. Okay? So we still have a few more questions to do from this first part of the test. Let's see. What's the slope? Slope's always what's in front of the x. It's 3. It is not 3x. That's the number 1 most common mistake made. Number 9, what's the y-intercept? Y-intercept's the number at the end. It's negative 7. Yes?
It's different on our papers. It's negative.
How could it be different? I took it from over there.
It says negative 1.
I think you might be in the wrong section. Okay. Next up, number 10. What's the slope of the line connecting here? And I write the slope formula out. The y from the second minus y from first over x from second minus x from first. And here's the y, 7, minus the y, 4. So 7 minus 4 over 6 minus 2. That gives me 3/4. Okay, so that was section 2 from the first part of the test. Now we go to section 3. Section 2 of the second part of the test, which was the graph. And there is the correct graph done. Now, from what I've noticed on your work, you're very good at the second one, the one that's in blue, and getting better at the first one. So they meet at the point 2, comma, -1. Next up. The next one had two parts to it. The first part was number 12 here, which is to solve algebraically. And you'll notice on this one that the A's are on top of the A's, the B's on top of the B's, the numbers on top of the numbers, the equals on top of the equals. So that means they're all aligned, which means we're going to go with the elimination technique. And I could pair up either letter, but I like to do the ones wherever the signs are opposite. In this case, that's the B's. So I put the 3 up here and the 4 down here, and I get my 12 B's to match, and I just add them up, and they go die-die because they cancel each other out. They add up to no B's. 28A is 116 divided by 29, and I get A is 4. Then I substitute the A in here, and I get 5 times 4 plus 3B is 17. 20 plus 3B is 17 minus the 20. You know how to do this. This is just standard equation stuff. Dividing by 3, B is -1. Here's an important part, because even on the kids who were doing very well on the test, the big difference between the kids who got in the upper 70s and the 80s compared to the 90s was their ability to do the check. You have to do the check. You need to write the original 2 equations, here they are, and then here they are again, and then substitute in and make sure that it works on both sides. Every time you don't do the check, you're going to lose 3 points. Every time you don't do the check in one out of the 2, because that happened a number of times. A lot of people would check in one equation, they wouldn't check in both. You're going to lose 2 points. So if there's 3 questions that you have to check on, and you don't do it 3 times, you lose 9 points. That'll knock you from an A to a B or from a B to a C, possibly from passing to failing. So we want to make sure you don't make that mistake. Make sure that you both know how to check, and then that you don't forget to do the check. Read the question thoroughly. What are the last 2 words on this question? And check. Okay. Next. Distributing the 4, because this is a substitution one, because the equals are not aligned, right? So when they're not lined up, you're going to do substitution, and you substitute it in, and this is just the same side, same operation type of equation, which you're now solving out all the way through. Y works out to be 2, substitute it back in, just like on the other one, except these are always easier. X equals 2y plus 3. It's very short and straightforward. X is equal to 7, and then notice again the check. The last 2 words, and check. Here's the check, making sure it works its way through. And again, I can't emphasize enough, what you want to, I don't want you copying down the work now. You can do that at home, looking at the Relearn packet. What I want you to do now is just get a feel for if you're doing it right or wrong, and in a little bit you'll have an opportunity to bring your paper up to me if you feel that I can help you with something you're still not understanding while the class works on section 3. And then I made a little bit of a boo-boo here. I redid the first one, which I should have done the second one. Sorry about that. But the way of doing it is exactly the same. And one mistake that I saw a lot is I saw a lot of kids who didn't do the first one, or I'm sorry, didn't do this particular problem about the Dunkin' Donuts because they felt they had like they couldn't get the whole thing right. But you get about 1/3 of the credit, 5 points out of 15, just for writing these equations, which I think are pretty easy. Look, 5 donuts, 3 coffees, 950. 5D plus 3C is 950. That's not hard. 3 donuts and a coffee is 450, so we wrote that down. So when you write these things down, you get 5 points out of 15, and then I hope that you're able to do a little bit of solving, so then you're working it on through. And the cool thing here is, this one does not ask you to check, so you don't even have to check, okay? Any questions on this? All right, so now your job over the course of the period is to, work more on your packet. And today, as I just showed you all the answers to the section 2s, today it's to do all of the section 3s. So there's 4 of them, and you have to do all of the section 3s. Tomorrow I will check those. Tomorrow night, you're gonna do all the section 4s. And then on Wednesday, you're going to take the test. I'm going to collect this from you at the time of the test on Wednesday. I'm gonna make sure that you've done all of the sections, and then you can get that, if you got a poor test grade last time dropped, you'll get it dropped. And of course, it will be its own standalone grade. Melissa, hold on. Jared?
Is there school on Monday?
No, this Monday there's no school.
Why?
Martin Luther King Day.
Oh.
Okay, so this is where we're at, this is the situation, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now I will, you guys start working on all of the section 3s, and I'm going to call you up one row at a time, if you will. And I will check and make sure that you did your homework from last night. If you didn't, don't bother coming up, just say I didn't do it. Make it up for tomorrow, and you can get yourself credit for it tomorrow.